battle this is. The two skippers, Thomas Leandersson from Sweden, will bowl first. He beat Bill Hoffman earlier. He and Tori Torgerson won their doubles match. And now it's single combat against Tim Mack, and a terrific start for the European captain.
Good opener from Thomas. Still bowling with that blue pulse, but I'm informed that it isn't one of the old blue pulses. Apparently there's a new blue pulse out now with a slightly different cover stock, so I haven't seen it in the pro shops myself yet, so I was fooled a little bit there.
New balls please, in other words. So a strike from the Team Europe skipper. Here's Watt from Team USA. Nope.
Just too light. Well, certainly too light to guarantee a strike.
Look how far across the lane he is. He gets so much action and movement. I mean, covers so much of the lane, Mack. Crunches into the pocket, and it could have gone the 7, but on this occasion it said nope. Not anywhere near so wide this time, as it just went for that straight single shot and a spare to open up for Tim Mack.
So slight advantage to Thomas because he's on a strike, so he can steal a lead that Tim can't reply to if he strikes here. And why wouldn't he? On the back of 10 in a row in his previous singles match.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely wonderful bowling. We're all thinking about a perfect game. It's not perfect. Well, he's lucky to get away with that. Horrible.
Well, this is a pretty standard leave for where he hit. Be coming up heavy on the head pin and the ball chops straight through it and leaves a 3-pin standing. You will very often leave the 10 with it. Maybe trying to hit both pins with the ball, bouncing the ball off the 3-pin onto the 10.
A gettable spare, but not much of a margin of error here for Thomas Leandersson. That was as perfect as you can do it.
Well done, Thomas. Safely negotiated. Now you see the margin for error is very small on that. He hasn't hit a lot of the 3. By the same token, he hasn't hit a lot of the 10, so I have on occasion seen bowlers bowl the ball there and actually get the ball to pass between those two without hitting either.
So a strike here. Puts Mack back in the ascendancy. Oh, ho, ho, look at the pin action. That's the pure power of Tim Mack. We've seen that 10 stand up for so many of his compatriots, but had no chance here with that pin action.
Well, this is a really good shot from Tim, and he's sent what we call a messenger. There's the head pin flying onto the left-hand kickback, and so much energy in it, it manages to make its way right back across the lane to take the 10 out.
So what do you call it, the messenger?
Yeah.
What was the message to Tim there? You lucky devil or what?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that was luck. That's just, you know, he's developed a style that gives him that power, and good luck to him for getting it. That's part of the game.
Anytime you get that power, you do get the pin action, don't you?
Absolutely.
So Leandersson working the spare. So this is important for him. 7 wouldn't play.
Just like Tim's first ball, a little bit too light to guarantee the strike.
Thomas Leandersson's stature in the game. A man who was voted to the Bowling Hall of Fame in St. Louis earlier this year. This is an absolute brilliant. He can do it with his eyes shut. A little frown told the tale, didn't it?
Yes, well, Tim's got slight advantage now. He's got a strike working. Can steal a 10-pin lead here if he doubles.
A spare to start with, slightly unlucky, but then a strike, just a touch lucky.
No, it's a Hoffman 10-pin.
Yeah, it all balances out, doesn't it? We saw Dino Castillo have trouble with it. We saw Bill Hoffman tormented by it, and now it's Tim Mack's turn to feel the wrath of this 10-pin. Safe.
Well, really, Tim's left 2 10-pins running there. He just got the messenger to get the other one out, so maybe he's starting to think he's got to go looking for carry.
The difference, if I'm doing my sums correctly, 1 pin, the American in front. And neither man in the strike zone yet. Just 1 strike and a pair of spares so far. Ooh. The nightmare scenario for any bowler.
Oh, it's very unlucky for Thomas. Really should have taken no less than 9 out of this shot. You can see the disappointment in his face there.
Disbelief. The 7-10 split. Can he get the miracle? Oh, it was close, but it's an open frame.
It just worked its way back out onto the pin deck momentarily there, but
thought about it, didn't it? Couldn't quite make the jump. Look, tried. What's the betting? Tim Mack, having seen his opponent leave an open frame, buries the lot of them.
Well, I think he'll hit the pocket, but whether he'll knock them all down is open to debate at the moment.
My money's on Mack. I got one right.
Do you win the bet?
We're both speechless at this moment. Tim Mack now in control of this match. Such an important game this for Team USA as well. 8-4 would be quite a problem for them with the first 18 winning the cup. The 7-5 of course puts a very different perspective on everything. So Leandersson has to forget about that split, but you do sense that the Swede is struggling with this lane condition a little bit. Not getting it right at all. That's better. Did he make an adjustment there, or are things just balancing out a bit?
That ball was definitely much flusher into the pocket than his previous deliveries, so I think he's made an adjustment. Now he's playing second arrow, and I think he was playing a little bit further to the right. And the pocket, of course, being that gap between the 1 pin and the 3 pin, which is the pin immediately to the right of it as you look head on at the pins.
So here's Mack working a strike, looking for his first double of this match. World 10-pin Masters in this venue a couple of years ago. Well, the wheels came off the Mack wagon there.
Yes, he's let this one drift by the head pin a little bit. Only just caught the head pin. Under those circumstances, it's all too easy these days, especially, to leave the 2-10 and possibly some other pins with it. Very, very tough spare, but with the speed that Tim can throw this ball, anything can happen at this one. There's definitely a good chance of a bounce out.
Which is what he's going to need. This is a real nasty one.
If I was to bet out of the 10 who could throw the ball hardest, it would be Tim.
No question.
And that's what you need at this one.
Here it goes, full on, full throttle, no. You can see the idea was right, but just the execution. That lead pin just wrong, so the open frame left by Mack. equation right. So that changes things around a bit, doesn't it?
Yes, it's almost level.
So each man has left an open frame. The two skippers dueling away here in Dagenham. There's the double. You saw it coming from a mile away. Super shot.
I sense that both players have actually started looking for carry. Just subtle changes in their line, and Thomas has found it, but Tim has yet to. And the fact that Thomas has found it first could be crucial in the outcome of this match.
So a double for Leandersson. Mack working an open frame. Does he get back in the striking zone? Yes, he does. Emphatic response.
Well done, Tim. This was a good recovery from the last shot, which was that horrible 2-10 combination. He's still trailing in the match by 8 pins.
I hate to throw Tim's words back in his face. You see his maximum there, 238. And he was feeling so confident before this match. What did he say to us? I won't bowl less than 240 with a bit of luck. Well, he's not had the luck, has he?
Yes, that 2-foot pocket he thought he had, I think is...
it's 2 inches now.
It's a little bit narrower than he thought it was at the start of the match anyway, that's for sure.
Leandersson's just picked himself up a turkey.
So Thomas utilising the second arrow target to great effect. That's 3 pretty good flush pocket hits, all of which have carried.
So every time Leandersson ups the ante with a strike, Mack has to respond. And he's a good pressure bowler, Tim Mack, one of the best in the business.
Too light again.
That's extraordinary.
Left the 2-pin. Based on the evidence of 2 frames ago, he's a bit lucky there wasn't something else with it, including the 10. So that's a bit of a result for him. It doesn't help him at all in the context of the game, because he really needed to reply to Thomas's double with one of his own. So he slips another 10 pins behind.
Well, he just made out, Richard.
Yeah.
Good grief, that wasn't convincing at all. This was a bit too close for comfort, wasn't it?
You see that pin almost going at right angles to the boards of the lane there. Tells you that he hit that very, very thin. He's lucky to get away with that.
So a 4-bagger here from Thomas Leandersson will put the Team Europe captain in a very strong position indeed. No, this time the 10 comes and hurts the European cause.
Yes, that pocket hit where it's just not quite full in the pocket seems to be leaving the 10 pin every time, and doesn't seem to be anything that any bowler can do to combat it other than hit the pocket flush.
Yes, it's getting them all, isn't it?
Yep.
And the Americans seem to be suffering more than the Europeans, but it's an unforgiving pin, that one.
Flush pocket hit, Nick, is really, you can define it as when the centre of the ball and the centre of the 4 pins going from head pin through down to the 7 pin are all on the same straight line. Then that's a flush pocket hit. And you just get the head pin to cannon into the 2 and the 2 into the 4 and the 4 into the 7, and that's how you define a flush pocket hit.
So a strike here gets Mack almost back within touching distance, you know. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, so much for those 240s, eh, Tim?
Well, either the lane is playing tricks on Tim, or Tim's not adjusting when he should, because this is identical to the last one. Last time he got away with it and somehow got the 10 pin out, but not this time.
You have to say that Tim has taken this lane a little bit too lightly.
Well, that's the third time that he's flicked the headpin in front of the 2, and a player of Tim's calibre shouldn't let that happen 3 times in one game.
This probably going to be a second open frame. Well, he nearly got it. How about that? Tim Mack, 2 open frames. Make a note of it, because you won't see it too often.
Thomas enjoying a 30-pin advantage with only 2 frames to play now. Should run out an easy winner.
Tim Mack's maximum is 175. That is so far off what he's capable of. It beggars belief.
Especially when you consider that despite the fact that the carry is a bit difficult out there at the moment, it still is quite a high-scoring lane at the moment.
That's right, as Leandersson has just showed us. Yes, we saw Team Pont win with 219, Thornton with 237, Manna with 266. In fact, the lowest that we've seen in the last 3 matches is 169.
Well, this is the battle of the captains, and looks like the captain's log is going to be written by Thomas Leandersson at the end of this one.
Oh, please. Oh, please. Let's all pretend you didn't say that, Richard. We want someone to beam him out of here right now. Well, it's not logical what's happening to him out there, is it? The warp core's been malfunctioning for Tim Mack in this match. He's on impulse only here.
Well, if you didn't like my comment about the captain's log, you didn't have to latch onto it.
It's a strange world Tim Mack is inhabiting at the moment here in Dagenham. Full of aliens like Thomas Leandersson. Frame 10. And you can put this one in the book, and it's another Team Europe win. It's the European captain that's risen to this one.
His good friend Tora Torgerson applauding that one. Nothing wrong with that shot. Well, it seems to me like Thomas made a smart move towards the middle of that game and has paid the dividends. To me, he definitely seemed to come further inside.
There's the smile of a fellow who knows he's won. 7 pins left, but he won't mind.
Well, Hoffman's still seeing the funny side of things, even though the USA are trailing now. Is it by 3 points now, Nick?
Absolutely, 4 it'll be.
4 after this match, sorry.
214 for Leandersson. The lowest score of anybody in these singles was Harry Verbruggen with his 169. So Tim Mack, if he wants to avoid the ignominy of getting the lowest score of the 10 bowlers here, needs to strike out. There's one of them. I'm sure that's not motivating him. He's just trying 1 or 2 different things there, because that thing hung on the edge of the gutter, didn't it?
Yes, Tim sent that a lot wider than most of the deliveries he's thrown so far in this tournament. And to good effect, because he actually got the mix on that one.
So he's going to avoid finishing dead last to the 10 here. This is a very proud man.
He'll probably want to repeat that shot just to confirm to himself that, you know, perhaps the carry is a bit better off that shot.
Yes, he'll be learning from this, Will Mack. He's not just throwing these away. He's having a real good test with this lane. There's the 10. Oh, would you believe that 10 is stuck down with super glue, isn't it?
And there you saw the messenger hurtling towards the 10 again, but this time it doesn't knock it over. It can wobble that pin, and it's got all the time in the world to fall down until the machine touches it. Once the machine touches that pin, it has to be stood back up again.
Ooh, didn't really mind about that one, did he, too much? Wasn't trying there.
I think he was just experimenting with another strike line there.
Absolutely. Tim Mack will bowl much better than that during the course of this Weber Cup competition. 183 in the battle of the captains. It's Leandersson who takes it for Europe with a score of 214 and a significant advantage now for the continent. 8-4 they lead this battle for the Weber Cup.